Okay, everyone. I'm starting the stream up right now. It's a few minutes early, but hopefully people will be able to join us in the coming minutes. So, anyway, I'm going to get started. So, hopefully. Yeah, all right. So, anyway, welcome, everyone. And I am going to put this up on YouTube after we're done streaming here. So, if you're joining us live, then welcome. And if you're joining us on YouTube, then it's good to see you through YouTube. So kind of some things that we've been working on today that we wanted to talk to you guys about. There was a long discussion, I guess, or at least somebody brought up a discussion on the forums a little while ago about how Ikhor works and what it does, or what's the future of it and what's it going to be like, you know. And so this week we've started, and if you can't hear me, then make sure and tell me. Well, then you couldn't hear me, but so I can't tell you anything. So I'm assuming you're going to hear me. But anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about Ikhor today because we've gone through and changed things dramatically. Now, the question was basically like, right now, Ikhor management is really tough, and your Ikhor pool, on our last update, we made it so that it grows with a skill called right here, Ikhor, which we do need to make it so that pool... Whoa, I'm getting a call. I'll have to call him back. Anyway, actually, hold on just a second. Here, can you answer this? All right, so anyway, so Ikhor. That's what. Sorry, I keep getting sidetracked, but. Anyway, we're gonna, so yes, you do get more Ikhor, and you can see in the skills menu there's actually a couple new things right here. We're gonna talk about these today. One thing that we talked about is just like, how are we going to make it so that you can be a mage? Because in a lot of these games, magic feels pretty shallow, and one of the things that we really wanted to make sure was that we had a deep and, you know, fulfilling magic system. And we also wanted to make it so that mages can be a pure mage. Like, you don't need melee or ranged weapons to, like, support what you're doing. You can just be a mage only. And so those things are all taken into consideration. And that's kind of what I want to talk about on how we plan on making that possible. And I quickly ran over it on another stream, but I kind of wanted to go into it more in depth. So if you're planning on making a mage, then this episode is for you. This will describe our system for how that's accomplished, what you'll be like, and things that will make you a better mage, things that will hurt you in your chance to become the best mage, that kind of stuff. So for those of you who don't know or whatever, I'm sure that probably most of the people watching this will already be familiar with this, but these shards are kind of the drive of the magic system. And so you might find a fire shard, right? And then when you put it on, and this system isn't complete here, but it will offer you some spells through this shard when you put it into your wrist. And these spells, like this one is called Scorching Flames. And I guess we don't have them in right now, but I think some work was done to fix these tooltips. And I just might not have that code. We might not have merged our code yet, but it'll explain what it does in that little pop-up tooltip that you keep seeing popping up there. So with these, you'll be able to equip them down here. And I'm sorry, my monitors are messed up, but there's like a little hotbar action bar down here that I think a lot of you guys, even if you haven't seen it before, you can probably guess or imagine what it looks like. And you'll equip them into any one of these, and they're associated with a key, which will be rebindable on your you can rebind these to do whatever you want, but like this one where I put it, even though you can't see it down there, that's an R is what it's bound to. So anyway, I'm going to equip. I also have some healing spells over here. So now I have a fire spell and some healing spells, and you'll see that when I cast them, I am casting. I'm holding down the spell, even though it's not casting. There it goes. I hold down this button and the spell begins to cast. I'm pushing R on my computer because that's the button associated with it. And as you'll do it, you can see at the bottom there that I have this blue bar that's actually growing. It's almost like reverse mana. Like you start out empty and it gains. Now, there's a couple things that influence how quickly my Ikhor disperses, because the lore says basically that like your Ikhor is like it's building up in your blood. and it's making you more like your blood's getting overloaded with magic is what's happening, and so you sort of have to, your body has to disperse that out, and so your Ichor dispersion rate is essentially what the other games would consider like your mana regeneration rate. And so if you go back to the skills menu, you can see that I have my Ichor dispersion rate is 1.11 Ichor per second. And what's modifying that is what I'm wearing. So if I take off my biggest piece of armor and look at that again, it's now up to 1.34 Ichor dispersion per second. And you know, if you take off more clothing, then it gets better. And I think if you're wearing nothing, belt is slowing it down a little. We're still deciding exactly what we want each thing, but completely naked, it's dispersing it too. And some things don't modify the dispersion, like this hood, for instance. That doesn't hurt me, so that hood is fine. It helps my dispersion rate, or it doesn't hurt it. And these cloth pants also keep my dispersion rate at the maximum level. Now this this robe I've made to kind of demonstrate some things in the game will actually have a better dispersion rate. They'll be made to increase that. And so this one, it probably won't be this good in the game, but I've equipped it, made it much, much better. Now it's over double what it was. And so now I look like a mage, and the clothing that I wear and the equipment that I equip and things like that, that will greatly help your magic usage. And as you can see, and we might adjust some of these colors because they're kind of hard to see. But anyway, as you can see that it's oh, is the music too loud? Sorry, I haven't looked over there for a while. But as you can see, my Ichor's dispersing a lot better. I think I can turn it down through Windows. Hold on. Tell me if that turned it down. I don't know if it did. I hope it did. I tried to turn it down just using Windows. So got a couple of questions here. It says, how do you turn down the game volume? Oh yeah, so we need to add that. That's just some stuff. You actually can't right now, but you can turn it down through Windows. You just go down in the thing, like where you turn the volume up. You can actually select like program by program. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm glad that helped for you guys. So we're going to add in some support into our menu. Like when you hit escape, we're probably going to add in another thing right here to give you in-game controls. And again, sorry that the bottom of my screen's clipping off a little bit right there. Anyway, so you can just turn it down through Windows just using the normal volume mixer. There's a way to just like turn down individual program volume. So, all right. So now, as you can see, like what I'm wearing is making a big difference on how much my Ichor is dispersing out of me. So it makes a lot of a difference when you're trying to use magic. It really helps, like it really helps us so that you're able to, you know, keep fighting. And I've actually practiced this fighting a lot, or fire blood a lot, so I'm pretty strong with it. Buffering issues. Sorry about that, man. I wish there was something I could do. I know we have really good upload speeds here, but yeah, sorry about that. Would it be correct in assuming that the crafting system would allow the player to create a suit of armor with better dispersion than normal? Yeah. So how that'll work is, like I said, so if I equip all this leather armor, my Ichor dispersions does suffer. It, you know, went from, well, it was at 4, but that was kind of a special item. But it goes down to 1.2 with my current loadout. So anyway, oh hey, what's up? I do damage, and hello everyone else. So anyway, so the question was asked: will you be able to like make better armor or do something to give it? So what's going to happen is, just like there's armor with affixes on it right now, like this armor deals 1.3 damage back to attackers, there will be something that will increase Ichor dispersion. And so if you wanted to, you could like craft a leather suit of armor to help Ichor dispersion. But again, you know, you'll be able to kind of fill that role of like a heavily armored mage, and you'll still have some more obstacles to overcome than the pure mage would, because they would be able to wear, you know, like maybe they'd be able to wear some nice, I don't know. They'd be able to also craft their clothing to be good too. So you could, you know, do the battle mage thing, and you would get really far, but like pure mage will always be the best for everything. So yeah, so the question was asked, if you have both the fire and the ice sword from the Vlarn Sergeant, you should get a bonus, or just any 2 weapons with fire and ice. Yeah, so the way that the way that elemental stuff will interact with spells and weapons is still something we need to hammer out, but I'm sure there will be at least some interaction there. I'm not exactly sure a ton on how that'll work, but we'll figure that out more as we get there. So anyway, back to things. So yeah, so you will be able to modify your Ichor dispersion through equipment for sure. Definitely that. The question, I guess, kind of is the next question is will there be a skill associated with Ichor dispersion? And that I'm not quite sure, because, well, I don't know. We're still thinking about it because it's a pretty powerful thing, right? Like, but then there's the question of like, well, if my Ichor pool gets up to like 1,000, then 2, even 4 Ichor dispersion per second wouldn't really help me that much, right? And that's true. So we're gonna have to balance it. Like, the game is still in early stage, but I promise. What I want to reassure you that we are going to figure it out so that mages do not get the short end of the stick. And if you're like someone who just wants to have a lot of Ichor and, you know, fast Ichor dispersion, like, it'll be possible. So, because I hate it. I hate that feeling of being frustrated. So I want to make sure that our game isn't like that. So anyway, now my Ichor dispersion is going very quickly because of my thing. And if I eat this melon, so now you guys are going to be able to see, like, the melon actually gives me like a whole nother Ichor dispersion per second. So it's pretty good then. Anyway, ultra lag. Sorry that, yeah, I don't know why. I don't think there should be lag, but maybe there is. I'm sorry if there is. So how does the primal beam become something worth using? Well, just like everything else in our game, you just got to use it. The more you use it, the more it'll work. But the primal magic is not it. That is just a placeholder. That'll have its own stuff associated with it. So don't get too excited about that. But anyway, battle mage is what you're hoping to create. Slice someone's face off and setting them on fire. Absolutely. So that will definitely be a thing. I like that too. Making that thing. So anyway, I'm going to show you guys another thing before we get into what weapons do. More with Ichor. One of the things that we had as a limitation was our Ichor sickness. And we didn't like how it was working. It was an initial idea that we had, and we've really modified it. And there's like one little bug that I'm still tracking down, and it only happens sometimes. Like, happens like 10% of the time. So, and it only happens on my computer. So if it happens, then I'm going to have to restart the game really quick, but it probably won't. So hopefully it doesn't. But the Ichor sickness buff was, or Ichor sickness happened after you overloaded your Ichor bar. So you're using your maximum Ichor, because one thing that's going to happen in our game is you'll always be able to cast. Even when your mana bar is full, your Ichor bar is full, you'll always be able to cast. And so we wanted to make sure, we were trying to find a way on how can we, you know, allow them to cast or whatever. But and so what we did before was just like, okay, well, when your Ichor bar is full, you'll just take damage. And it was kind of weird because it would just like kill you, you know, and it was just weird. So we do want it to eventually kill you or start damaging you, but we wanted it to make a little more sense to kind of give you a feel for what's happening to you. So I'm just going to overload my Ichor right now, and we'll see what happens. And hopefully, like I said, the bug doesn't show up. So anyway, let's see. So as I overload it here, yeah. So the first you can see right now, my Ichor bar is full, and my visual feedback is getting messed up. The screen turned cyan to show you there was a huge visual feedback, and I don't know if you could see it, but my Ichor was stuck, and it wouldn't disperse. It wouldn't disperse for a little while. See, it's stuck right now. So it's indicating that I cannot, and this is all functioning properly. So now you see that's a huge indicator. Like, okay, you are now, but notice I'm not taking damage, but I am I do have a huge visual feedback that I am overloading or overdrawing my Ichor. And the further I overdraw it, the more cyan my screen turns and the more violent it's shaking. And it really disrupts your vision or whatever. So that's the first step. But if you keep doing it, if you don't... So now I'm going to overload it and keep going. If I keep pulling, then I get darker and darker, and then now it turns red. And this means if I keep casting, I will take damage. And as you can see, I can't move, and I'm stuck in that for a lot longer. So, okay, there's a question. It says, how long have you been working on that effect? I've had some issues in previous builds with Ichor not dispersing properly. We just barely started working on this effect. If you had Ichor bugs before, they will probably be fixed because Ichor just got reworked completely. The whole Ichor bug and it not dispersing properly and everything like that before, it was a rare bug that happened during, like, if you were killed by it at a certain time, and I think we mostly got it fixed recently, but now it's completely reworked, so it shouldn't be a problem. But we've only been working on this effect since the last patch. So anyway, again, if you go, and you can probably hear the effect that also gets louder. There's a visual and then as you can see, if I keep casting, I also take, you know, more damage. So you do take damage, but this time it doesn't just immediately kill you, and it does warn you that you're about to get owned. So I think it is a lot better, and it also will help us. So like that was just me overdrawing my Ichor a little bit and getting my heal off. I don't really suffer too much for it, other than it might be hard to navigate or whatever, but you will suffer if you overdraw past this point, and it still can kill you. Like as you can see, now I can't walk, I'm completely slow. We're actually going to get an animation where he's like staggering around, and we'll maybe get some particles coming off of him showing him that he's like completely overloaded with Ichor. So this will allow us, like before, one thing that was broken, and some of you guys might remember, initially we had burning hands where it just, like you would cast it and it just always got, it was just a constant like damage over time that was happening every frame. It wasn't it wasn't a tick based thing, like you can see it's tick 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 tick, it like ticks it up, and we had to do that because of the way that we coded our Ichor sickness. It was not very good for channeling spells. We couldn't channel spells or have spells do damage every frame, which is how you're supposed to, like that's the true way to do like damage over time, right? It's the highest resolution of damage, accurate calculation of the damage. And so this one, we had to do that so that the Ichor buff would actually work, and probably in upcoming updates we're going to rework this, and it'll allow us to have other channeling spells that won't, you know, totally, yeah, suck. And not everything will have to be on like a half-second interval anymore, if that makes sense. So, all right. So, another couple things. We got a comment that says something about that effect makes me think of wraiths. What about if you have some super high defense and health, so you keep overcasting and overcasting, and then you get transported to a demon realm or something like that? Well, I mean, there is lore to what's happening to you, actually, and that's part of what's going to come in later in the game. But like when your blood is getting overtaken by Ichor, there's already lore associated with what's going on, and it makes sense on why you're freaking out like this. So anyway, hopefully, as far as just gameplay goes and what it means to the player, like it means that you will, I don't know, you'll have a lot more. Like I've been playing with this for this week. I finished this up about like 2 days ago, I guess. And I've been playing with it and testing it and bug fixing it and everything. And what I've noticed, the changes are mostly, like I'll be casting and I'll be, you know, fighting guys or whatever. And I'll notice that like I'll get into really interesting situations where my Ichor is overdrawing and I'm trying to do calculations in my head and make decisions, like split-second decisions, like could I kill this guy if I overdraw just one more time? And if I do overdraw one more time, will it put me, you know, like if this is, I kind of just named it this. I don't know that it's the official name, but like when you're not taking damage and your screen's just freaking out, like this is Ichor sickness, and then this effect is like Ichor madness. So just, I don't know if we're going to really call it that, but just so I can explain this, I was saying, if I draw it one more time, like will I get Ichor madness, or can I survive long enough to, you know, just stay in Ichor sickness? Because when you're that slow and your camera's shaking that hard, it is a death sentence. Like, you will die because, I mean, maybe not. And that actually goes to another thing, is there has been some, like, daring escapes, you know, getting away from people who were going to kill me. Even though I had Ichor madness, I still got away. But anyway, I've fought this guy a lot with my Ichor, trying to like balance it and everything. So anyway, I usually have my fire spell on my click because I don't really attack with my staffs. So I've always had it right there. But anyway, so I'm going to keep going a little bit more with the next thing I wanted to talk about. So, well, just to backpedal real quickly for a second. So I think it makes having the Ichor sickness rework is, you know, it might not seem that different, but just that really simple, like the way it was before, where it's just like, oh, you're gonna die if you cast too much, and it will just be, you know, massive damage to your health or a massive degeneration to your health. Like, I don't know, it was pretty shallow, I guess. And even this one, I think we could make it a little more interesting, and we can keep refining it. But I think it's a lot better of a start. I really feel like it will make for more interesting situations, and it will be an interesting mechanic that mages will learn to, you know, kind of have to learn to manage their resource. But I think it'll be good. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is this other thing right here called Weapon Attunement Modifier. So another thing that we have in our that we're going to have in our game. Like wands. Dark Souls calls them catalysts, and that's kind of a good term because I don't really like wands. We don't really like wands as much, like, you know, the dinky little Harry Potter wands where you just like pew, pew, or whatever. But but staffs are cool. You know, big Gandalf stick and all that kind of stuff's pretty cool. But probably for like one-handed catalysts, I'll just call them that for now. Whether or not we settle on that word or what in the game, we'll see. But a catalyst, so like your weapon attunement modifier. So every weapon has an attunement level, and we'll display that, and we'll have a smart display for things that are probably going to be used as a catalyst. So let me go get let me go get some weapons from people whom I've killed, if I can still find their corpses lying around on the ground. There's a guy. So if I grab... Oh, this guy is still alive. Really got to put that back on my... I really got to put that back on my thing. So let me just grab this sword and we'll talk about this. And I got a shield. Okay. So here's how this works. So whether or not I'm... All right. This is going to be a little confusing, but I think it'll make sense if you just stick with me through this explanation. And it'll make it so that you can customize your build to be anything that you want. And I really think it was kind of the vision that we had for our system from the beginning. And this whole action bar thing and everything like that, it all kind of is going to come together right now. So here's how this works. So when you equip a spell down on your bar down here, we'll get the animations in so that no matter what you're holding in your hands, if you're holding a sword, if you're holding a shield, or if you're barehanded, it doesn't matter what you're holding, you are going to cast the spell with that weapon, even if it's not in your weapon slot down here. So even if it's right here where I have my Burning Hand spell, bind to my R key, and I can still swing my staff, you know, do all my combos and everything, but in the future I'll still cast it with my staff because I'm holding my staff, if that makes sense. So if I have a sword equipped, I will still, and a shield, I will use these instruments to cast these spells. I'll cast my spells with the sword and the shield. You know, even if I don't have the spell hovering over this slot right here, even though it's clipped off down there. So does that make sense? So now if I do equip a spell, like equipping a spell right here, what does that do? That just overwrote my ability to swing my sword, but it overwrote my ability to do my main just left click normal old swing on my sword. That's what it did. I can still do my power attack with it. I just can't do my normal attack with it. But it didn't. But I would still be casting it with the sword. So that is the behavior that got overwritten. Not the. It didn't unequip the sword, if that makes sense. He still casts it. I know that might sound confusing, but I think it'll make sense, especially once you play it. So why is that important? Well, it's important because what you're holding in your hands will affect how effective your spells are. So if I go back to this thing right here, my weapon attunement modifier is now 0.65. So I'll get to bows in a second. That was a question in the chat. But this weapon attunement modifier is important because my shield and my sword have modified the effectiveness of any spell that I cast. Like in this case, my Burning Hands now only does 0.65 times its normal damage that it normally would do. Your bare hands will always do 1 times the normal damage on all spells. They'll always do 1. And he'll always cast them with his hands just like this. So you'll always have your bare hands to be effective like that. Now, right now, this staff, just to demonstrate, this staff gives me a 1.2 weapon modifier. So, yeah, okay, so now I think you can see what this means. It means that like some weapons out there, the catalysts out there, the things that are meant to be held to cast spells like staves and so forth, you know, they will they will give you a higher modifier to your spells. And that's important because that way, like, it would make sense if you wanted to put your fire spell there and your healing spell there. Like, that's a good idea because these attunement or these catalysts will be terrible at casting spells, like, or at hitting people with them. You know, they won't do any damage. And so what it allows you to do is have more spells on your loadout down on your bar. So now there was another question that said, it'd be awesome if you smash the ground with your shield to cast the tremor spell. Yeah, so like things like that. Definitely all the spells are going to get animations associated with the weapon that you're holding. So what you said is not without the realm of possibility, right? Like if that's just how you cast spells with the shield or that spell with the shield, then it would make sense. Yeah, so hopefully this makes sense. So now what does this mean? Well, it means for the person who wants to be a battle mage, who really likes the way that this looks, like what I was wearing. I'm sitting here wearing robes, but I want to have like a melee offensive attack. Well, then I will keep spells off of these two things. You know, I'll keep my combo weapons free to cast spells, and I'll load spells out all on the sides here like this. And so I can still cast, I can still attack and cast with my sword and my shield, even equipped, and it works out well. So you can make that guy too, or you can make the guy who is all spells, who has no way to use combo weapons. He'll still be able to block with his combo weapons probably, but he won't be able to like do his power attack and his normal attacks and the eventual combinations that might come with those. And so what that means is I guess what it means is that you'll be able to customize it completely with how you want to play. And that also means that if you're in the crafting system, or if you get lucky and you get an iron sword that has a high attunement value, like you know, this sword, it's not displayed there now, but I think, let's see, let's just take off the shield and see. So 0.9. So my bare hand always gives me a 1, and then it takes the average of these two. So if this is giving me a 1, and then this is giving me, and it equals 0.9, then this must be giving me a 0.8. So this has a 0.8 attunement value, and then it takes the average of these two things, and I get out a 0.9 effectiveness level, if that makes sense. So then if I put the shield on, shields tend to be quite heavy against your attunement modifier. There you go. So two swords would not modify my attunement nearly as bad, 0.79. So I think it's 0.8. I don't know why it rounded down one number, but whatever. But then, yes, there will be, I guess, like, there will be affixes to modify. Like, you found a very well-attuned sword, and it might not be 0.8, it might be 0.95, but it will still allow you to attack, if that makes sense. So how did you get so much damage in your hand? I just punched a lot. Yeah, I just took all of my my weapons off, and I just hit people. And this would be a good loadout. You know, you could be the monk guy who still uses hand-to-hand combat, and still uses hand-to-hand combat and spells. I got the hiccups. All right, so here you go. Here's the question then, I guess. Or I guess here's the takeaway. Oh, well, there's one more thing I need to say. So about weapons now, and even about attunement things. Like right now, this staff, one more comment on this. This staff, it does bring me up to 1.2 to all spells, but there's a possibility right now, and I'm not sure how we're going to do it. But what it probably will do, I'm not sure actually. I don't know how we're going to do this. But just know that, yeah, never mind. I don't know enough of, we haven't decided exactly how we want to do things to comment on that yet, but it doesn't matter. So the takeaway of all of this is, all this system is that you can totally customize your loadout with your spells and your weapons. If you don't want to be able to attack with your staff because your staff sucks, and you just want, but it's awesome at your attunement modifier, then you can just overload those things. If you want to be the guy who has, you know, magic and a sword, no magic, you don't care what happens to your attunement modifier or your Ichor dispersion rate, then that's good for you. In fact, let's just show you what, I'm just going to show you, like, if I go kill a Valaran soldier, the heaviest armor that we have, right? Let's go kill him. And I'll just show you what armor does to your Ichor dispersion and what things do to your weapon effectiveness here. So let's just burn this guy to death. Ow. Okay. So if I just grab all his stuff, and let's just equip it all here. Valaran, anything from the Valaran. Hey, where's his pants? There they are. Let's get the shield. Okay. So now, oh, boots. Valaran boots. There they are. Let's equip this leather belt too. So now I'm fully loaded out. If I go to my thing, my Ichor dispersion rate went from a base of 2 to 0.48. And my weapon attunement modifier went to 0.25. That means that my spells are only a quarter as effective as they were before. So if I try to heal myself right now, it's like pathetic. And look at how slow my Ichor regeneration is. Now, you could still do this, and probably even people who are melee will still want to find some spells that, like, they can, you know, cast like this healing spell, even though it's not super great, it's still something, right? And if I'm not using my Ichor for anything else, why not just have it there? Or maybe you don't want it there because you want to use those slots for other things. It's all up to you. So it's a resource. One of the resources is how many slots you have to do something, and then the other resources are like health and stamina and whatever. But it does affect it greatly. Like this, my Ichor is going to take forever to disperse. And I guess if you really wanted to, you could, you know, come in here and go like this or whatever and then disperse it away. But that's lame. Even with just those two things, I still am losing 0.5 Ichor dispersion. So, all right. So that's the takeaway. You can be whoever you want to be. Mages will get a huge benefit this patch, but they'll also they'll get buffed because they'll be the equipment that makes them and their spells more effective. But they'll also get nerfed because you won't be able just to wear anything. Like if you want to be decked out in full Valaran clothing, then you are going to have a rougher time being a mage, and you'll probably keep having a rougher time being a mage until we at least get those affixes in that add in like an increased Ichor dispersion rate and things on weapons to make them less to make their Ichor weapon attunement rating not so abhorrent. So that should explain the system that we have in mind. So now, it's kind of what we were talking about on the forums, but now I think that with this system in place, even though it's primitive, well, it's not primitive, it's a good system. And it's pretty solid right now. It's in the beginning stages of it, and it will get refined, and all of the corner cases will be taken care of. But even now, what we can do is start adding in a lot of spells that... yeah. Well, we've needed to do that for a while anyway. But now I think with the Ichor sickness behaving the way it is, we're not limited by it anymore, and we can make more appropriate spells. You know, ones that do damage in a constant, every frame instead of like every half second and things like that. So magic will probably keep getting attention, and it's actually getting close. Like this update will bring it closer to where we need it to be in terms of like being a good extensible system for us. So anyway, hopefully that is something that you guys are looking forward to see. Another couple of announcements that we need to make is or things that are going on with us. We've made a lot of progress on the new area. It's still probably not going to be ready for, maybe like a month or two, so don't get too excited about that. But we have made a lot of progress. We've got it into the map and kind of, getting it fit into where it is. We were building it elsewhere, and we've kind of started the merging process, and then, we've got to get the guys and things like that in it as well. So that's pretty good. The tree boss, we've done a lot of work on the tree boss, so people who like him, he's going to be back in actually pretty soon. We're debating on whether to just, and you guys can let us know what you want. We're debating on whether to wait until he's ready to go in to release this update, or if you guys wanted to, that might take like another 3-4 days, or we could just release these Ichor changes, and then you could just play with these until the tree boss is ready. It doesn't really matter because they're both kind of good updates, so good solid updates. So the archives is what he asked a question. He's like, what's archived there? Well, you'll have to play through it and find out, but it's going to be fun for you guys. We'll see if you like it. It's a pretty good area. But yeah, this is where the tree boss was and is going to be. This area, you probably can't see it super well on stream because it's dark. Whoa. I think this might be an artifact of the merging. It's not going to look like this. Yeah, this is like a different thing. This is actually maybe a small preview of the rework. The lighting in here obviously is totally messed up. But anyway, this cave has been reworked. You can see there's no more ramp right there, and this is where the tree boss is going to be. So you can go back on YouTube and analyze what that looked like, even in the crazy lighting. But the tree boss is getting close, so we'll have to at least fix that area before we get that out. So what's archived at the archives? You'll figure it out. It'll be cool. Okay, hey, so I used a camping spot near the bridge, and I always spawn there now. How do I spawn back in the starting village when I die? Oh, well, you restart the game and you would start back in the starting village. So restarting the game is the answer to your question, but the real answer to your question should be that you should just go sleep in the inn, or you'll have to buy a room in the inn, and that would be your permanent spawn location change. but we don't have inns in yet. But once we do, inns will be good. You'll buy a room. You won't have to like pay for it every time you sleep there or anything. You'll just buy the room and then it will be open to you, almost like a mini player house. And inns will also have storage that will be permanent and persistent through saves. So, just one of those things that we got to get done. But we were focusing on magic because we thought it was awesome and fun and good, and we wanted to get it done. So, anyway. Will the cave lead to the archives, or are the two unrelated? I'm just going to let you... I'm not going to answer any questions about the archives. It's a total surprise for you guys. That's how I want it to be. It's like, all we're saying about it is, we think you'll like it. That's all we're going to say. I think you'll like it. I'm Marshawn Lynch. I'm only here so I won't get fined. But anyway... So that's some of the changes that we've made to the Ikhor. And like I said, the tree boss is getting close. We'll probably have him in pretty soon. It's so annoying to walk back. Well, people were annoyed to walk back to their... We put the campsites in so that people were not annoyed to walk to the things they were fighting. So now we have to get the inns in order to make people annoyed that they don't have to walk back to town. Anyway, as a temporary stand-in for inns, you could just throw a camp in the middle of town. I could do that. That would be really easy. I could do that this update if I wanted to. Maybe I'll put one on the beach. That's a good idea. So, anyway, we'll figure that out. But so, yeah, those are some of the updates you can look forward to. The archives are going to be big and good, and we think you'll like them. It'll be a good area on the island. Yeah, and that's all I'll say. So if there's any other... what other questions do you guys have? Do you guys think we should just release the update without worrying about getting the tree bus in, or do you want us to get the tree bus in before we release this so you can have all of these nice Ikhor changes and the tree bus to look forward to? You decide. Well, you can put in your opinion, I guess, and ultimately I guess we'll decide, but hopefully we decide something good. Yeah, I could just put a campsite. We've actually talked about we're talking with the guy who's helped me develop the storyline a little further. And we've actually talked about some expansion to the town that we need. And so the town's probably... I got the hiccups. The town's probably going to get expanded in the next little while. Like, I don't know when it is, but you know, one of those. Our artist is working on the new area. Only he's like really focused and dedicated on it, and so hopefully, you know, you guys appreciate and it turns out to be a good area. I think you'll like it. But after he's done, it'll free him up to add in like the new weapon set will probably come first, and then probably we'll get in like. We have another area that needs to be done, but it also has a... Whoa. Yeah, someone was saying this. It always crashes when they come over here. There was someone on the thread, and it actually crashed on me last week when I did this. Huh. That's interesting. I'm going to find out what that is. Now that the crash happened to me, there was just a bug thread thing just today on that. So we got to figure out why it crashed. So let me get the thing here. Why is it all messed up? Okay. Okay. Cancel that. Oh, bullets. All right, hold on, guys. Let's look at this. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, let's find... I'm going to find out why it crashed. All right, so... Yes, hopefully it didn't crash. Hopefully it crashed in our code. Ah! It was a sound effect that was not there. C-base door open. Huh. Interaction. Process event. Oh, I think I know why it crashed. Let's see. No, that has a thing there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No. Huh, I don't know. Oh. Okay. That door's not owned. Why would it be getting opened? All right. Well, I think we could figure this out probably. Anyway. Um. Yeah, I'm not. I don't think it's the sound effect. Actually, it's throwing a null pointer because there's somebody opening a door that doesn't exist. I wonder what. Okay. MP owner. All right. Well, I'll have to look into it later. But yeah, that did crash on somebody else as well, so we'll figure that out. But anyway, I guess that's I guess that is a good stopping place. Let me read his chat here. It says, I find myself checking out the updates with the new content, new enemies, new quests. As such, it wouldn't matter to me. Okay, well, we'll talk about it today, and we'll decide if we don't get an update out. This Ichor update would be pretty soon, like maybe within maybe tonight, or maybe Monday. And then if we don't get that, then we'll probably get it by like next weekend, Thursday or Friday. So like in a week, but we'll figure it out. Hopefully it works out. So anyway, thanks for joining us this time, guys. I'll stick around in the chat and answer your questions. And hopefully you guys really like the Ichor update and you think it's pretty awesome. We think it is. It'll help us a lot too and help us get some good things out as far as, I don't know. It'll help us get some good spells in, and it'll help us push our magic content a little further. So yeah, hopefully that works out for you guys. And the tree boss is going to be reworked, and he's going to be a lot more fun. We've had a lot of good ideas with what we're going to be able to do with him. So I'll hang around the chat and answer the questions. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can leave us a comment and we'll answer that as well, or come to our forums, which you can get to at liminalgames.com. So thanks for watching us, guys, and we will talk to you guys next week probably, and we'll always be there on the forums. We'll see you guys next time.